Hello everyone, I am Lily, DCTUK's Product Marketing Executive, and welcome to the DCTUK pod, where I am joined by the lovely Alex Rhodes here with me today from Tarkett. And we are going to talk a little bit about you and a little bit about what you do. So, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone in the audience?
Hi everybody, my name is Alex Rhodes and I work for Tarkett. A little bit of personal information about me. So I am in my mid to late 40s and I've been in manufacturing, working in manufacturing now for about 14 years.
Wow.
And it's something I'm very passionate about. I really enjoy working in an industry where we make what we sell.
Good, yeah.
I live in Stretford in Manchester and I am from the Northwest originally as well. I live about a mile away from Old Trafford, Man United, but my husband and my family all support Liverpool. So that's a delicate conversation. But we get on because we both support Liverpool, don't we?
That's good, yeah.
And yeah, I have a 9-year-old son who will be 9 in January. And so I watch a lot of football, watch a lot of sports, and enjoy going to the gym and swimming and things like that. So that's what I do in my spare time.
Good. Well, that's good to know about you. Okay, so let's get into the questions. So the first question that I've got is, having worked for 3 global organisations, what unique perspectives have you gained about the global manufacturing industry? Long question. I'll take the stage.
Okay, so working in manufacturing now for the past 14 years, and as you say in the question, working for 3 different global brands.
Yes.
I think what you do really start to realise when you're working in a global brand is, one, how everyone has to work together and departments need to work together to make things successful. And also actually how different countries are very different as well.
Yeah.
So how do you combine different countries' needs, different countries' expectations and demands with also working and getting procedures to all work together in a line? Tarkett, for example, we have said internally, it's like turning a big tanker.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to make change, it can take time and it can take quite a lot of departments and lots of different areas within the globe to make those changes.
Yeah,
so
of course.
In one sense, it's amazing and interesting because you get impact from lots of other places in the world with lots of other ideas and thoughts and ways of working, but also fundamentally you do need a thread that's your company ethos and your company,
of course,
you know,
to kind
driving
of like bring it all together.
To bring it all together
Of course,
and to show that whatever country you work in, there is that driving force behind the brand.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of everything, really, trying to get everyone to work together, but also understanding the individual country's needs.
Of course. Very good. Okay, so the next question we have is, what is the most challenging aspect of working for a company as large and established as Tarkett?
I probably half answered it in the previous question in the fact that very large organisations, and Tarkett turns over 3.2 billion euros per year, 2023.
Yeah.
So we are, you know, the biggest flooring manufacturer in Europe and the 3rd biggest in the world.
Of course.
So I think with that, it's just when you're trying to change or adjust things, it can take time, and it is trying to get everyone on board. When you've got 12,000 employees, it's trying to keep that message strong, not dilute it. When you are trying to reach so many different people in so many different departments and so many different areas of the business. So I think that's the challenge, isn't it? Of maybe when you have a change of direction, or maybe the, you know, things change in business all the time, and you need to change in business to stay relevant and to be successful. One thing we do say in Tarkett is that, you know, there is always guaranteed change. It will change. And it's how you implement that change in such a large organisation in good time.
To stay ahead. Yeah, of course. Otherwise you end up going under.
Well,
which is not good.
No, you need to stay in line with your principles, but you also need to see and understand what's happening out there.
Yeah, so having that balance, isn't it, between like that personal side of things and then probably looking at like the bigger image, like you said, with all of the different countries. So in that kind of like process, how like, how do people work together to kind of bring, you know, an end outcome for kind of like everyone?
I think in the UK especially, we've joined forces with our sales and marketing departments.
Oh, brilliant.
And I think that's really important
Yeah.
to have both of them aligned.
Yeah.
So we work really, really closely with our marketing team, and our marketing team has grown, you know, over the last few years to be more driven by segments as well.
Okay.
So we have definitely worked harder to achieve a much coherent relationship with sales and marketing, and I think that's helped and supported us.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing about Tarkett, it's 140 years old, but there still were quite a lot of people who don't know who Tarkett are and didn't realise what we did and what we stood for. And having marketing and sales working together, I think that's really supported and helped that message.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Obviously, being in marketing myself, I think it opens up a big opportunity to kind of work closely with those people who are kind of, you know, they're driven in the sales team. Obviously, they want to get the leads, and they kind of want to also share who, like, you are as a company. And then I think that's important that, like, obviously being in marketing, we kind of take what they're pushing us to do and bring it to life almost.
And execute that. I think,
exactly.
I think that's... I think the modern world as well, the demand for information, data, visuals, audio, you know, all of those things, the sales and marketing definitely start to cross over a lot more. So we are working hard to keep that aligned. Yeah,
as you said, with the change as well, it's a big factor, because obviously I don't think 10 years ago maybe sales and marketing you would have even have thought to put those two together to kind of like work together, or even have a person who does sales and marketing in one job as well. So it's important to obviously keep kind of like expanding ideas and improving on like the business and different sectors of the business.
For sure.
Very important. So next question is, Tarkett has been recycling since 1957. Is that
1957.
Right? Yeah, long time ago. So how has the company maintained its innovative edge in sustainability over these decades?
Tarkett have been recycling for over 70 years. And we are a family-owned business, which is really unusual for the size of business that we are. And I think the driving factor was that the originating family have always thought and supported circular economy, and it's been something that they've been driving through the business for many, many, many years. And I also think that Tarkett encourages the people that are part of the business to be innovative. So I do think that actually we have some very innovative people within our organisation. We're encouraged to be innovative. They are given the platform to be innovative. So I think there's always been a driving force of R&D in our business. So I would say it's down to the people. But the brand and where Tarkett have placed themselves means that the right people want to come and join the business. But I definitely think it's down to innovative people thinking outside of the box, and then being given the platform to be able to be innovative. Definitely. And also the support, because financially it costs a lot of money to be innovative.
It does.
We set up a recycling centre in Waalwijk in Netherlands, where our carpet factory is. And we opened it in 2019. That was an investment of £10 million. Wow. And that was to create a closed loop recycling centre, the first of its kind, certainly in Europe. So I think having an organisation, the owners of the organisation understanding the vision and the cost of innovation and supporting that innovation within the business, and seeing it as a benefit and a way of improving and growing the business sales wise. So, our innovative products grow our sales. And I think once you've got that in your mind and that's in your DNA, it filters through to the employees.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's probably super helpful that you've got, those bigger up people, the big dogs, they are giving you like the green light to be able to kind of take those ideas and enact them and put them into action, and it shows with you guys. It does really show. And I think meeting people from Tarkett, you guys all have that same passion, and it's really lovely to see. From I come from a family-owned business myself as DCTUK. So it's nice to kind of see that same kind of drive from people who work for, you know, obviously on a much bigger scale, but people who work for a family-owned business. Yeah. And even if, you know, you're not related to them, it's still important to kind of like give their like mission, vision, values out to the world, and you guys do a great job at that. So.
Yeah, I think having a value and an ethos for me personally is why I stay at Tarkett. I stay at Tarkett because I believe in the investments that they're making. I believe in the innovations that they're bringing out to the marketplace. I believe in the ethos behind all that, which is circularity and closed loop recycling. And also innovative ideas, you know, trying to change the landscape of flooring, you know, and wall coverings as well, actually. But it's also constantly trying to move that dial. And things are changing constantly, you know, out there. You know, we're looking at low carbon now, potentially PVC-free products.
Brilliant.
And I always see Tarkett moving forward, trying to be the first, trying to do something that other organisations are not putting their time and development into. And I think makes me very proud to work for them.
It's almost like it's not a niche really, but it's almost a niche for you guys to be able to put your foot in the door and be like, okay, well, we can do this, so we will do it. And that's really, really good and special as well.
Thank you.
Well done. Okay, next question is, this goes back to Valvike, is it?
Valvike, yes.
Yes. Can you share more about the first closed loop recycling centre in Valvike, and what impact has it had on the flooring industry thus far?
I would like it to have an extremely big impact on the flooring industry, and it's definitely growing and developing as time goes on. The investment was huge, so £10 million is a massive investment, and it was built from the ground up. So you can't go out and buy a recycling machine. So it was built from the ground up, and it was a big investment, and it's something that I visited when it first opened, and I was very proud to do that. And what we're driving with that is looking at end of life. So for us, when you look at EPDs and you look at the D section, end of life recycling for us is important. It's a way of lowering your embodied carbon for your products by not extracting raw materials. So if you look at an EPD, A1 to A3 is part of that is extraction of raw material, and that takes out 45% of the embodied carbon of a product. And then end of life, C or D, if you're looking at incineration, that potentially can be up to 25% as well of embodied carbon emissions for that product. So for me, that's, you know, a large aspect of reducing raw material extract. So using recycled materials or waste material from other avenues, and then also removing landfill or incineration and moving that to a closed loop recycling system. And that's what we can do with our carpet tile. We also do it with linoleum in Italy. We have a recycling centre there that we can recycle end of life, and we also have the same recycling end of life for our homogeneous vinyl in Sweden as well. So we do have 8 recycling centres.
Oh wow, really? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
that's
globally.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it is something I'm very passionate about. I think waste in the build environment has to be addressed. I think raw material extraction has to be addressed.
Yeah, of course.
And those are the two things that I like to help people understand, because that is a big issue within our, you know, within manufacturing and within product manufacturing.
Yeah, definitely it is.
So looking at how we can extract less, use other people's waste as a raw material. How we can recycle closed loop, which is back into new rather than downcycling. So there are 3 ways of recycling. So downcycling, recycling and upcycling. And recycling back into new products is something that's very, very important to us at Tarkett.
It is very important. It is good that you guys kind of, I know that you obviously you talk about it a lot and you put it out there, but a lot of people do talk about things and then they don't actually action it or put it into play, and you guys do that very, very well. And we'll come back to touching on the sustainability and stuff in a few questions.
Well, you guys actually take part in our restart scheme.
We do, yes.
So, you know that giving back the material and sending it away and recycling it does give you a certificate which proves what was diverted from landfill or incineration, and also the embodied carbon saving.
Yeah.
And what is really important for me to get across is there is so much material out there that is not given an end-of-life solution. It is put to landfill or put to incineration.
And that's it, yeah.
And what I do want end-user customers and, main contractors and fit-out companies to understand is that there are other ways of getting rid of your waste.
Yeah, there is.
And we should all be looking at those, how to utilise them. Reuse is the top of the triangle. So reuse is also incredibly important as well. And we do support reuse within our restart scheme as well. But for us, our eco-based back products are 100% recyclable end of life. So, we can reuse them, absolutely. But there is a solution end of life to remove
always.
that issue of landfill or incineration.
Which is brilliant, especially for people who are super eco-conscious or aiming to be more eco-conscious, which is important obviously now, because we are emitting a lot of carbon in society, so it's important that we obviously do touch on this and we do talk about it.
And it's about all stakeholders. It has to be everyone involved,
of course,
with what happens, because it might be quite a few years down the line when this product is taken up and recycled, but as long as the landlords are recording where that product is and they know that Tarkett will take it back, our restart scheme proves this. We have many customers that take part in it. We have many customers who've done it.
Yes.
We've taken, I don't know the numbers, I think it's 220,000 tonnes worth of product back and recycled it since 2010 for different materials. It's everyone needs to be part of it. Can't have if you have a weak link in the chain, it can prevent it can prevent the process being implemented.
Of course, it can, most definitely. Very interesting. Okay, so next question, a little bit similar. Tarkett addresses diverse topics like air quality, dementia-friendly design, and inclusive design as well. Which of these initiatives resonates most with you and why? Or we can talk about, I know that obviously the diverse topics, we could talk about recycling as well. So if that is something which obviously does resonate well with you.
I think overall, the one thing that I'm really proud of when I work with Tarkett is their way of investing in thought leadership. So, when I present to people, I actually present a lot about thought leadership rather than this is a pink tile or this is a carpet tile or LVT or sheet material or lino. I do like to put that education piece out there for people to understand. So we, have a lot of REBA certified CPDs that cover these topics. So again, we have REBA CPDs that cover specifying sustainable floor coverings, which covers the sustainability angle. We have a CPD covering dementia and designing for dementia. Tarkett are 52% market share in vinyl worldwide. So I think, one in every other hospital has Tarkett product in there. Designing for dementia is very important to us and because of our standing in those environments. And also recently we've just launched in the summer our latest thought leadership document, which is Human Conscious Design Principles, which is a REBA approved CPD designing for neurodiversity and inclusion. But we also, when we designed our dementia CPD, we did a VR platform.
Oh, wow.
Which helped the person with the headset on visualize what it was like to be suffering from dementia.
Wow.
And then the last 2 years we've developed the same software for the neurodivergence
brilliant.
CPD. And we won the IHEAM Innovation Award for 2024.
Well done.
With that platform. So again, these things happen. We invest the money in the thought leadership, and we've been rewarded with awards for it. So it's something that's really working for us. And it's really interesting because it's also bringing education to
of course, that's
the
exactly what I was going to say. Yeah,
so,
it is. It's educating
it's
people.
important.
Yeah, it is. And I think as well, maybe for someone who, you know, isn't into flooring like we are, you know, doesn't take that kind of like liking to it, it's important to kind of give those outside or third party people a chance to actually learn, oh wait, like flooring is actually making a difference for, you know, those small groups of people, or, you know, the people with dementia or people with ADHD or, you know, neurodivergent people. I think it's super important as well to, like you said, educate people on why it's important.
And the feedback has been from the practices that we've shown the CPDs too, is that the education piece has been really important. And actually they've found that you know, really interesting, and it's not necessarily all about Tarkett or all about flooring. It's very much about something that's valuable to them in the build environment. And we've had, you know, many different people come along to the CPDs, not just interior designers. We've had architects, you know, interior designers, but also maybe building consultants in a building consultancy firm, you know, directors of businesses who maybe don't specify anymore have been along and found the presentations useful. So I think you know, even main contractors, you know, cost consultants, QSs, there's been plenty of different people in the build environment that have come along to the presentations and found them interesting and educational. So that's one thing that I've had from feedback has been really interesting, that actually not just our, you know, our, maybe you would think would be our target market. There's been lots of other job roles that have found the presentations really interesting.
That's good. That's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Next question we have: what trends do you see shaping the future of the manufacturing and flooring industries? Probably a little bit similar to what we've already talked about, but if there's any kind of like different trends that you can see coming up,
I think
chat about them.
I think for me, trends, I mean, you can talk about trends in lots of different ways, can't you? You can talk about colour, you can talk about design, you know, and those are important, absolutely. We're talking about interior design, so, you know, colour and design absolutely are up there. But I think Tarkett's view is very much more about our sustainable attributes and our sustainability story. Sort of is paramount to us. We want to design great looking products. We want to design, you know, on-trend products that fit the brief, that have the right colour palettes. And we definitely upgrade our product regularly to change the colour palette if they're, you know, maybe they've been around for 5 to 7 years and the colour palettes from 7 years ago are not appropriate for now.
Of course.
And we've done that on quite a few of our best-selling ranges. We've recoloured them and it's given them a new lease of life, and the colour palette is much more applicable to today's design community and wanting to use the right colours. But I also think things like, you know, potentially in Europe there's conversations about banning PVC. So again, how do you look at that trend? You know, there potentially could be legislation changes in the future within waste management and within waste and how you remove waste. In Sweden, the landfill is banned, so, you know, potentially could that be something that could come into the
Hopefully.
UK? I think it's a long time off for us.
I do think so as well.
But yes, so I think, you know, always we're wanting to design products that look good.
Of course.
And we're always wanting to produce products that have the right colour bank and support designers in, you know, the current colour trends. But I think also it's that combination of supporting sustainability. So colour and design, yes, absolutely, but not, you know, not diluting our sustainable objectives. So I think it's that combination of all of those things.
A balance.
And also getting the price right, because let's be honest, it's, you know, you could have an amazing, beautiful product that's extremely sustainable, but if the price is not, you know, competitive in the market,
of course.
you know, you need to address that as well.
Yeah, so it's a lot of things to think about. Do you have like a certain process for that type of, so say if a new trend comes up, for example, obviously there's been a big influx of pastel colours, obviously with your like Roots and Pure collection and stuff like that, we see that. Is there, you know, do you guys have to sit down and go through trends that you think will come in the future or predicted trends in like the next year? Do you look at it on an annual type of scale or like a 10-year type of scale?
I don't know if it's 10 years, but we do have a fantastic internal design team based in Valveig, so for carpets, for example. And actually they came over to visit us a few weeks ago, and some of the team there have been there for 25 years. So they have a lot of knowledge over the last 25 years on design and colour. But what we do is we have Circle of Architects, where we ask to visit interior designers, all across the country, London, Manchester, Ireland as well, Scotland. We try and visit as many people as we can to get a view of what they like about what we're designing. So we brought out 4 prototypes just last month to show interior designers, ask them what they thought about the colour, what they thought about the pattern, the texture, whether they thought it would work in different sectors, whether they thought we were hitting the mark for what was required out there in the marketplace. And we've been doing that for many, many years. So although we have, very experienced designers in our business, they are very open to discussion and feedback from our customers. And I think that's very important.
I think that's probably the most important part as well, is getting that first-hand account from the people who are actually buying and using the product, is getting their opinion on it and kind of seeing, like how will they use it and even if they will use it. So it's definitely a very important insight. Very good. Okay. Do you think customers today value sustainability and inclusivity in design as much as they should? And if not, how does Tarkett educate them?
I specialise in commercial workspace, and I do think that the commercial workspace sector has a higher regard for sustainability. I do think that with green building labels trying to be achieved, and the knowledge within that sector and the demand for more sustainable products because of, needing to be hitting lower carbon targets, etc., ESG targets coming to the forefront. I think that workplace and commercial office has taken sustainability to the next level, where I think if you look at other sectors, potentially hospitality or the home residential sector, or potentially retail, where it's going into, the homes, people's homes, I think there's less of a demand for that.
I agree.
I'd like to think that that's changing and that it's dripping through, and that there is a conscious thought process for all sectors to become more sustainable. We are definitely seeing a shift. So over the last 5 years and after COVID, we definitely saw a shift towards more requests of information.
Wow, okay.
Things like EPDs, material health statements. And we actually designed a document called the Green Building Card, which shows many different green building labels, BREEAM, SCAR, WELL certificate, for example, and how our products would help support those labels and how you can achieve those credentials with our products. But there's still no real defined legislation. There's still issues with COP events that we're not moving as fast as we should have done or could have done. And we have a lot of our Tarkett, have a lot of people in our Tarkett organisation that actually have spoken at COP events. And we're a French company, and the French government in particular have implemented many different policies to support more sustainable practices. So I think there's definitely different areas in Europe where there is more legislation and there's more drive to be more sustainable. I would say that the UK and Ireland is not implementing as many of those practices, but there's constant conversation.
There is.
You see it all the time. And there's many groups and organisations in the UK that are doing amazing things, and a lot of them, we follow and we're linked in with. And our technical team, who also cover recycling and restart, are linked in with organisations within the UK to help support those, pushing forward that agenda.
Of course. It's just about having those conversations, isn't it, really, and keeping on pushing it, and that's why we're here today.
And that's partly education, isn't it?
Learn.
It's, one thing that I'm trying to do is help educate.
Of course.
Help educate about EPDs, to help educate about material health statements, to help educate about end of life scenarios.
Yeah.
Help educate about reuse, because that is fundamentally very important as well.
Of course.
But it's such a broad and big topic, isn't it? So
I know, it's just diving into those little bits.
chip away.
Yeah, we'll get there in the end. We will. Okay, so the next question is, what does success mean to you in your role as a project consultant?
I'm sure, because I'm in a sales role, that the levels of my sales would be perceived to being whether I'm a success or not.
Of course.
But I think from a sales perspective, obviously sales are extremely important, because we're a sales organisation. But I think also for me personally, the education piece drives me, and the innovation drives me.
Yeah.
And I think where I've found my most successful sales have come from are where I've educated and shown innovation.
Yeah.
So, I think driving education and innovational products brings sales.
Oh, 100%.
So
definitely.
that's how I measure my success. Yeah,
definitely.
So sales do measure it, but I use those techniques to drive sales.
Yeah, of course. And then that, in yourself, you feel a little bit successful, don't you, as well, of course, which is an important part of the job too, is measuring your own success and how, delivering your job, or, delivering like a speech, for example, and educating people and how they take it is your way of feeling like, I've not only done my job, but I've done myself a service here by talking about what I'm passionate about.
I think the one thing that I get feedback from is that when I am delivering information that's beneficial, people are always complimentary of my passion and
definitely,
and the way I talk about Tarkett. So I think for me that's important to carry on doing that.
Yeah, 100%. I always feel uplifted after our conversations, so it is important. Okay, next question. Is there a particular project you've worked on at Tarkett that stands out as especially meaningful to you? Or multiple?
I recently, we've built a relationship with a particular end user, and it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time of. It's taken a long time to build a relationship.
Yeah.
But I think what it has done is made me realise that all working together, actually really great things can be achieved. And the implementation of Restart, the implementation of circular products, the implementation of looking at not using adhesives, looking at different methods of, fixing the floor to the subfloor, whether it be raised access floor or what have you, and looking at all the things that are involved within that process has been really fantastic, because it also brings in other elements to the business, and the organisation have been looking at all of their products, not just flooring. So again, it helps you feel like you're shifting the dial.
Yeah.
So it's not just looking at the element of flooring and how that can be improved, but also looking at lighting, acoustics, furniture. And prior to Tarkett, I worked for Benet for 5 years, which are a large Austrian furniture manufacturer. And again, it's really important just in our whole environment. It's really great to see an end user taking this driver forward within their whole business. And their sustainability team has grown and developed incredibly over the last 5 years. And that's what's been really moving for me, is that they're prioritising sustainability across all the elements of their business. And that's been something really exciting and satisfying to be involved with.
Definitely.
Yeah, and rewarding.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and it must feel so good, like, for you guys and obviously yourself individually to be able to kind of like build such a good relationship with, you know, those specific end users who you've kind of been driving your ideas towards for a long time. In the end, you're kind of just like, okay, we did it, and then it's just chipping away still.
There's just I think what I'd like end users and organisations to realise is that flooring is a very minimal cost on the whole build cost.
Yeah.
But actually, due to the square meterage of it, actually is a very large element of it.
Yeah.
And looking at ways to lower your embodied carbon through flooring is imperative to lowering your embodied carbon.
Of course.
And so, yeah, I think just having that understanding that although flooring is a very small part of the whole process, actually it's something that should be considered
most definitely.
maybe a little bit more, with a little bit more thought, maybe.
Yeah, of course. I agree, obviously.
But then I am in flooring, so I would say that.
Me too. Last question now, after a lovely long conversation. So, where do you see your career heading in the next 5 to 10 years, or, you know, 2 to 5 years, however long? And how do you plan to keep driving innovation in your field? This is a nice last question.
Well, I'm 48 in a few weeks time, month or so's time.
Yeah.
So 58, I'm not sure I want to still be working at 58.
No.
But if I still am working at 58, I just think it's about innovation, and I just think it's about change, and I think it's about driving change.
Yeah.
And, you know, if that continues with Tarkett, then absolutely great. If Tarkett continues to drive change, you know,
You'll
be up
58
there
and
with
still
innovation.
there.
I'll still be here at 58, driving change and, you know, pushing innovation.
Of course.
I definitely love working for a manufacturer. I don't think I would ever now not work for a manufacturing organisation. But I'm also extremely driven by circular economy, end of life, waste. So I might end up going to work for some sort of, I don't know, like some sort of like waste organisation, but Biffa or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I won't be going to work for Biffa, but yeah, just innovation. Always wanting to move the dial, and pushing that conversation regards circular economy, closed loop recycling, you know, lowering carbon footprints, waste, recycled content. So just anything in that arena, really. And if Tarkett's continuing to do that for the next 10 years and they're 140 years old, they've been doing it for that long now, I can't see why not. But
of course.
I definitely just, when you feel like you're making a change and you feel like you're part of that change for the better, that drives me.
It does, yeah. I have to agree, to be honest, as well. Like, from our perspective and what we do, you know, it's obviously my dad's company, so it's been rooted in me forever almost, but I've only really worked here for the past almost 3 years. So really diving into it and becoming more aware of what, you know, we do individually, but what we do with you as well. And I'm very big on sustainability and, you know, like going green and everything like that. So I think it's so important to kind of keep talking about those things and keep kind of going on that hamster wheel until someone initially like does get it and they go, okay, well, here's where we need to drive that innovation and that change. And I think it is so important, and it does make you feel good, especially when you meet and like us now and talk about those important topics that we both see eye to eye on. It's fulfilling, and it makes you kind of reflect on your job and be like, oh, do you know what, like, this is really rewarding, and it is lovely.
I think it's about leaving in a legacy, isn't it, as well? And just saying, I've made, you know, the issue is, you know, just feeling that, you know, you've made just a little bit of a change. I think is important to me, and maybe that became more important after I had my son, who's 9 in January. But if you have children, you you kind of think I need to leave this world in a better place.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, definitely. You definitely do. Well, that was lovely.
Oh,
Lovely
thank you
to
for having
talk
me.
to you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And if anyone has any, more questions about sustainability, about innovation, about anything to do with Tarkett, leave any comments below or send them over, and we can hopefully maybe get you back to answer some of those questions. So thank you so much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of the pod. Bye.